Welcome back to the Dash community. Thank you for your love on the yesterday's update. Speaking about yesterday, since then the price has gone insane. And again, the feedback was amazing. If you want to see more of these updates, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel and like the video. Like I said, it does help out the channel a lot. But looking at Dash, it's up 51.7% over the last 24 hours. It's absolutely crazy. And over the last 1 week, up 100% right now. This is insane. So, again, I gave you guys a in-depth analysis yesterday. It was a longer video. If you did end up watching it, great. But let's take a closer look and see what is really going on here. I want you guys to focus that, so far, fingers crossed, the month of November has started off on a positive note. But again, if you're looking at Dash over the last 1 hour alone, it's up 11%. So again, it is feeling some love. But what we discussed yesterday, that's what I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on in this update for you guys to really understand what's going on. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. Price of Dash is at $91.65, up 50% over the last 24 hours in USD and Bitcoin. Comparative valuation approaching $1.2 billion dollars, and the 24-hour trading volume matching the valuation at about 1 billion almost. But now, if you're looking at the rank, yes, you're seeing so much crazy price action for Dash, and yet it's still below the top 100. And that should really tell you how far this market has come. I give you guys this daily analysis update. But I don't. I'm gonna be quite transparent. I don't own any Dash. Yesterday's topic was, more on, what I personally think is happening with Dash and whether or not this could pull what Zcash did. And since our last update, it has gone up substantially, which I'm gonna share with you guys right now. And something very interesting happened for Dash. And I'm going to share obviously what that is. As far as the dominance is concerned right now, Dash is outpacing. The dominance doesn't really matter what the dominance is doing at this point. But again, obviously from October 31st standpoint, we are in this downwards trend. We want to continue to pull down, of course, as far as its general market is concerned, especially altcoins. We want to see this number, pulling lower. But we're in a weekend. On the weekends, more manipulation than usual as CME futures are closed. But yeah, Bitcoin has been ranging in the 23.6 as of now. But you could see, we have seen this breakout. And right now, for the month of November, this is the monthly high, sitting at $110,700 as of recording this update. So, Bitcoin is showing some strength right now, as we could see for ourselves, which again is very nice to see. And hopefully, I did mention this in my H bar update that hopefully the price of Bitcoin could push up to $112,000 before we go into Monday. That would be very exciting. But with that being said, let's take a look at what's happening with Dash, because very, very interesting things going on here. Let's actually take a look at it on a daily time frame if it were to load for us. Nope. Let's bring that up again. Sorry, just let me pull out the charts for you guys, and then we can kind of get back into what we want to talk about. So let's give it a refresh. I have no idea what's going on here. Um, there we go. There we go. We're back. All right. So I want you guys to focus. Actually, let's take a look at it on an hourly perspective first and foremost. Then we'll kind of come and touch on what just happened and how big of a deal this really is. And especially the people that have been picking up Dash just like over the last, few weeks, or back in September, if you were picking it up. Again, September 28th, this thing was at $20 per coin. Anyone that was able to get in around here is up right now 358%. Yes, that is correct. This is not something, just out of the ordinary. This is a reality in terms of what's happening with Dash. But what's really going on? I shared my personal thoughts with you guys in the yesterday's update. Again, Dash was right now, it is pumped up so much, but it was in the low, it was below 150, 150. So I think even like higher than 150 in terms of the ranking itself. So, valuation for Dash was very, very low. But, with the Zcash pump that we have seen, as we know, obviously the privacy coin, Meta, Zcash has, gone crazy as well. So obviously now, people are starting to look at Dash, which again, in some way is also a privacy coin. Yes, it has utility aspect behind it. Obviously, in this update, we're not going to really go into depth. There are there is actually a use case behind Dash, but again, we need to keep in mind that in terms of its valuation, prior to this major, move, it wasn't as high as it is right now. But even in this day and age, it's crazy to think that 1.2 billion valuation is even not considered something major. Obviously, a few years back, it was crazy, but in this day and age, it's considered, it is what it is because, again, you could just put it into perspective. We're still below the top 100. And that should tell you everything you need to know. But, let's take a look at what's happening with Dash price right now. So you can see for yourself, just yesterday, we were sitting at about, I believe, around $60, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, around $60 was where I recorded the update for you guys. And since then, Dash is up 60%. Let that sink in. It's up 60%. Obviously, it gained some momentum when Bitcoin originally broke up to the 10,800, which we're actually retesting right now as we're recording this update. That brought in some excitement. But what's really crazy here, if you hold the Dash, especially if you accumulated around this key range or if you're sitting in profit, what's really, really important to note is the fact that it broke out of a very, very important resistance that it has not broken out of for years. Last time we were above this key resistance, which again is around $79. Last time we were above it was back on May of 2022. And you can see for yourself, we have broken out of there since, first time since then. And again, we were very, very close to the yearly high yesterday. I spoke to you guys about that, but we saw more momentum kicking in, and you can clearly see that it was able to break out. We did see a little bit of a rejection at that key range, but the volume was too high, and we were able to break out of that key range again from that confirmation itself. This resistance. Since then, the price went up 22%. So now the question is, what are some next targets to be looking out for? But first and foremost, I want to talk to the people that have been picking up Dash around this range. And I know there's people that are going to be like, well, no one was really doing that. You'd be surprised. There are a lot of people that have been accumulating within this range. And if you are one of them and you're sitting at this massive amounts of profit, make sure you are taking some profit off of the table. If you don't want to do that, maybe have some stop losses in place. So, in case the price were to turn around, your stop losses hit. And maybe have multiple stop losses so your profits don't get wiped out. That's the most important thing that I would suggest to the people that have been accumulating for a long time, because again, it broke out of such a key point that it has a lot of eyes on itself now. But if you're looking at where it is right now, there is some resistance, obviously dating back to the OG cycle. If this is able to break out again, it did retest some of that resistance around the $96, just below the $100 price point. And we need to remember, $100 price point is a very big psychological level. Because it takes the price into the three-digit category. And again, we have not seen that since 2022. Now, again, breaking above as soon as the price of Dash is able to break out of the $100 price point, I personally think it is able to, push up to, with this momentum that it has for itself, up to $130. Are we going to see profit allocation coming from Zcash into Dash? Are we going to see that happening? It's too early to know, but again, let me know in the comments what you guys personally think as to what's going on. In my opinion, I think it's just speculators kind of coming on board, and obviously people kind of making comparisons to Zcash. But going back to what I said in the last update, in the previous cycle, we still went up to this crazy price point at $480. What makes us think that this time around, if we don't break out of these key levels, that that can happen this time around? I'm not writing it off, but it can, in my opinion, again, some people might say, oh no, crypto zx, this is not, you're just being too bearish, this and that. No, it's just a reality. We've got to look at it from a realistic standpoint. It's very, very like high risk, high reward situation here, in my opinion. Because it speaks for itself, where Dash was sitting prior to this move. It's just simple as that. Even I can make the same argument about Zcash. So make sure, even if you're earning massive amounts of profits, you are locking those profits. Very, very important. But as of now, I don't really want you guys to focus on, the OG cycle, top. We want to be focusing on where we were last cycle. And again, the comparison I made last time around, that, if it was able to get to that price point last cycle, what makes us think that this cycle, we can't see that happening? Again, if you want to put this into perspective, let me actually put this into perspective for you guys. So this would be about a 428% move. So give or take around six to $7 billion valuation it would need for Dash to get to that. And again, I'm not writing that off, but, especially if it's able to break out of some of these key levels, start retesting some of the levels we haven't seen since 2021. I think things can get exciting for Dash. But with that being said, that does not mean early comers that got in Dash are not going to be locking in profits, and that is very important to note. So have your exit strategies in place, lock those profits in when you see them. Right now, it is sitting above a very important support line, which is very interesting to see. And again, right now it's having a little bit of a battle, to get to that psychological price point at $100. If it's able to break above there, I'm targeting $132 to be retested for the first time since March of 2022. Again, I got to take it one step at a time. Let me know in the comments what you guys personally think. We'll see you later in crypto ZX and peace.